What's up, guys? So I had initially planned on doing a watch through on the developer update last night on my stream, and then I realized that it was almost 3 hours long. So I spent most of today just watching the developer update. So I'm going to give you guys the Cliff Notes version of it, what I think is relevant, what I think is important, so you guys don't have to go through the pain that I went through and spend basically half of my day watching the developer update. I was even watching it at 1.5 speed, and it still felt like it kind of dragged. But we'll give you guys a Clip Notes versions, and then I'll give my final thoughts at the end. So if you guys just want to skip to the end and find out what I thought, you can do that. They'll all be broken up into chapters, so you can check if there's any specific things you want to look at and want to know more about. The video will be all broken up into chapters. But yeah, let's jump into it. So as far as the story breakdown goes, there's this big bad vampire called Lord Zir. He was woken up because of all the ruckus that we caused during season 1. There's going to be a vampire hunter called Eris that's going to help us, track down Lord Zir, similar to the dude in season 1. I can't even remember what the guy's name was, but she's going to be basically going to be the main character for that section. Our character's becoming part vampire. For whatever reason, we are not affected by the curse of Lord Zir, so we're not under his control. Not really sure why. Hopefully they'll explain that more later on, but plot armor is what I'm going to go with. The powers that we're going to get, so we're going to get vampiric powers, which they've discussed before. They're non-specific class powers, so they're non-class specific powers, so you're not going to have like hearts where there were certain hearts that were used only for certain classes. They're going to kind of be general that are going to be applicable for all classes and all builds, and you're just going to kind of pick and choose which ones best fit your build. There's also going to be a new enemy they're going to be introducing called Bloodseekers. These are basically vanilla heroes that have been turned into vampires that we're going to fight. These dudes are going to drop a consumable called Potent Blood, which is we are going to use to upgrade our vampiric powers. So pretty cool. We're going to be able to actually upgrade the powers that we get. It's not going to be like the hearts in season 1 where you have to kind of find a high rolled one. So cool little twist there. So there's going to be a new world event called Blood Harvest, and there's also going to be 5 new in-game bosses. So Blood Harvest is going to be similar to Helltide. The main difference between Blood Harvest and Helltide is that there will always be a Blood Harvest active. So once one Blood Harvest ends in a certain area, there's going to be another one that's going to open up in a different region of the world. And then what this is going to do, this is going to give us specific crafting reagents and upgrade materials that you can only get during Blood Harvest, similar to the blood roses that you would get in Helltide. Also, another incentive to do these Blood Harvests is there is a separate reward system called Hunter's Acclaim. And what that does is that's going to, once you do enough Blood Harvest, I'm assuming you probably accumulate some sort of currency that you can use to exchange for gear, upgrade materials, etc. So just another incentive to do these open world things opposed to just grinding nightmare dungeons, right? So as far as in-game bosses go, they're going to start in World Tier 3 and World Tier 4. World Tier 3 bosses are going to be Echo of Roshan, which if you played during Season 1, you should be pretty familiar with him. And then there's going to be a new boss called Grigor, the Galvanic Saint. Not too much information about him yet, but that's going to be a new boss. And then for World Tier 4, you're still going to have the option to fight Bershan and the Galvanic Saint. And then there's going to be 3 new bosses going to be added specifically for World Tier 4. There's going to be the Beast in Ice. There's going to be Duriel, King of Maggots, which is really cool seeing an old boss come back. And then Lord Zir. Another cool thing about these bosses is that they each are going to have their own loot table specific to that boss, and those items can only drop from that boss. Also, something to note too is that if you do, with the case of Duriel is actually going to have a chance to drop Uber Uniques, and while Blizzard didn't specify a specific loot percentage increase, they did say that there is going to be a pretty significant increase, that it's not going to be like one guy in some random part of the world that's going to have it. you're going to know people that are going to have these items. You're going to get these items. So there's going to be significantly higher chance, as well as an undisclosed of yet way to target farm these Uber uniques. So pretty cool thing that you can do there. But that's basically it on the events, or the in-game bosses, and then the new world event. All right, so the biggest section of the whole live stream was mostly quality of life upgrades and updates. They called it different things in the developer stream, but they were basically quality of life updates. So I'm just going to go through the ones that I thought were important. I'm not going to list all of them because it was a 3-hour long video, but I'm just going to bullet point the ones that I think were important. So seasonal changes are coming to the Eternal Realm. This is an awesome update. I know that a lot of Eternal players that have no interest in playing seasonal felt kind of left behind with the new seasonal changes in Season 1 and not really getting to participate in that kind of, that cool stuff. So it's cool they're going to get to see all of this stuff as well. And from what they said is that any new seasonal content that gets added is also going to be added to the Eternal Realm. So pretty cool that they're including the Eternal players in this part of it, right? So unique items are going to be getting an overhaul. They didn't state exactly what, but they did say basically every unique item is going to be changed. There are probably, I would assume, going to be some buffs and some nerfs. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens there. Good news for hardcore players, Scrolls of Escape will now be consumed if a hardcore player disconnects while in combat. This is a huge plus. I know that there have been a ton of people dying in combat due to disconnects for hardcore, and that's got to be heartbreaking. I lost the only hardcore adventure I had, I lost my necromancer at level 60, so I totally feel for people losing their character for just a BS reason. So nice that they're adding that in. Incenses are now going to grant bonus EXP, so more reason to use them, and they also are not going to expire when you die. So also another good reason to use them. Another thing too is that these experience bonuses are also going to be multiplicative. So it is going to make sense to stack flasks, to stack incense, and it's also going to be multiplicative based off of your world tier. So that's a pretty cool update as well. So give us a little chance to get level up a little bit quicker. Okay. There's gonna be more waypoints are gonna be added to once you unlock the skip campaign. And if any of you guys had played Season 1, you know that you had to kind of hunt the waypoints. So there's gonna be more waypoints added. I think they said about 10 more. So pretty nice quality of life change there. Time to get to level 100 is about 40% faster. I'm not really sure where they're getting this figure, but they did take our feedback and that people were complaining about how long it was taking to get from level 70 to level 100. So they wanted to decrease that time. So they are increasing just different ways for people to get to level 100 quicker. Okay. Vendors and stashes are now closer to waypoints, so less walking around. Mounts are less janky. Search and filter in the stash. This is a huge quality of life change. Not being able to filter or search your stash was a huge pain point for me, especially because I was making multiple builds and had multiple characters. Trying to find a specific piece of loot was like pulling teeth sometimes. So really nice that they did add this. Gems, another big one too. This is another big complaint that people had. Gems are no longer going to drop directly. They're going to drop essentially a currency that you can turn in at the jeweler to craft the gem that you want. So no longer are we going to have a whole stash set filled up with gems. They're all going to be stored with the jeweler, and then when we need the gem that we need, we can go craft that specific gem. So nice quality of life change there. Enchantment costs. Oh, I got hair in my mouth. Enchantment costs have also been reduced. They said that the initial cost will be increased, but then the subsequent, if you need to re-roll the enchantment, it's not going to jump up like crazy amounts like it did in Season 1. So kind of nice there. Also, we're no longer going to get lower world tier items dropping and higher world tier. So if you are in world tier 3, you are only going to get sacred drops. You're no longer going to get just random rares or magic or just regular items. Everything's going to be sacred, and if you would have one of those items drop, it will instead drop a upgrade component. So nice change there. And same goes for world tier 4. Only ancestral items will drop if a sacred or regular item would drop in that spot, then it's just going to drop upgrade materials instead. Okay, higher level monsters will drop higher item power items. So now there is a reason to do higher Nightmare Tier dungeons. Before it was kind of, it really was just whatever Nightmare Tier dungeon you could do, quickly and effectively. That was the best one to do because you had about equal chance to drop a high item power level item in a low tier, and opposed to like a level 100. It didn't really matter. Now it's the monster level is going to directly correlate to the item power level of the item. So kind of cool if it allows you and incentivizes you to push for later Nightmare tiers. Okay. They also said that there is not, this was kind of a wince part on my, when they said this, but during the Q&A session that someone asked if there's going to be a Paragon board reset button, and they said, basically said not yet, but maybe. So I don't know if I looked too much into that. They didn't really say no, but they didn't really say yes. So not really sure how I feel about that. Some Nightmare dungeon changes. Teleport will now take you directly inside of the dungeon instead of the outside, so no longer having that double load screen, which is nice. Dungeon events. So the events for the ovals within the Nightmare tiers are going to have higher monster density, so more incentive to do those. Also, the NPCs are no longer going to get one-shotted, so if you ran any high Nightmare tiers last season, like 70s or above, some of those events, the NPCs would just get destroyed, and you would just automatically fail the dungeon or automatically fail the event. That's no longer going to happen. Also reduced crowd control on the player, so both from traps and just from monsters, so freezing, slowing projectiles, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be reduced. They didn't give a specific percentage, but they said it is going to be reduced, so we'll have to see if that actually is a negligible effect or if it's something that's noticeable. We'll have to just see when the season comes out. Afflictions, there was a whole section on afflictions. I'm not going to go through all of them, but basically all of the BS afflictions that a lot of people complained about: Drifting Shade, Lightning Storm, on death effects, all that kind of stuff. That stuff has been changed to not be as just bad. They've made it a little bit better. If you want to see exactly what they went through, I would just watch that section of the developer update. I'll put it in the description of the video, so if you guys do want to reference it, it'll be there in the description of the video. But just know that they did listen to some of our feedback and they changed some of those things. Okay. And then for world events are going to spawn quicker. There's going to be more world bosses. I think they cut the time down by about half. So I think the world bosses, I think they spawned every 5 or 6 hours before. Now it's going to be about every 3 hours. Legion events are going to happen a lot more often as well. I think that the timer went down from every 30 minutes to every 25 minutes. And there's also going to be more visibility for when these events are going to be coming. So you're going to get a notification. You're going to get a push notification. So making you aware of when these events are going on so you don't miss out. And then last but not least, Whisper Caches and Helltide Chests are going to give better rewards. So more experience. For Whisper Caches, when you would get maps, you're going to get higher sigils. Sorry, I'm thinking maps, like PoE. You're going to get higher level sigils, so you're not going to no longer just get sigils that are just useless. You're going to get sigils that you're doing or want to run in the near future. So that's the basic quality of life. So do I think that these changes are going to be enough to bring players back to D4? Probably not. The quality of life changes are nice, and it is nice that they are listening to us, but my major gripe is, why did they not listen during the beta test? Why did they not listen for all the feedback that we've been giving since the game came out in June or May? It came out 5-6 months ago now, and we've been giving this same feedback for months and months and months. So I get that development time has to happen, but I feel like a lot of these things that they changed and a lot of these things that they added, they should have been there from the beginning. Now, the in-game content, I do like the new bosses. I do like from what I get and what I understand about the powers, I think it's a cool idea. We'll have to see it in action. I have a feeling it'll probably be similar to Season 1, where you're going to have 1 or 2 powers that are going to really stand out amongst the other ones and be kind of the go-to powers. I guess we'll see. Maybe they'll all be good, maybe they'll all suck. I'm not really sure until we really get into it. But yeah, that's I don't really think this is going to really change too much, but I guess we'll have to see. There is another developer update on October 10th, so we'll give you guys the Cliff Notes version of that one too, so you don't have to watch a whole three hour long stream. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell to know when I upload new content. We stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday on Twitch at around 9 p.m. Eastern time. We have been streaming a lot of Path of Exile recently, but Season 2 comes out. We will probably play some D4. I'm not sure if that'll be the majority of our stream. It'll at least be one night a week that we'll be playing D4, maybe a couple. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. See ya.